Hello, everybody. My goodness, so many of you are here. Thank you. And yes, I realize the room behind me is still a disaster. That's okay. That is not a big deal right now. We have other things to worry about. Um, Although this is sort of turning into the biggest Jenga puzzle ever. Um, I do have an Easter egg visible for one very special person in the chat. I may or may not mention them by name because I don't want to embarrass anyone, but I do want them to know that it arrived and I love it. Um, so I might tell you that story at the end because at first, thank you, Godless Granny. I think it is a beautiful hat and it's very cozy. And yesterday it was 70 degrees here and today it's 40 degrees. So came in handy. Really did. I have it. I could. Okay, great. Thank you. I will. I'm gonna save the story of the marvelous traveling hat for the end, because I've got to talk about some sad stuff, and then I have a happy story to share you. Also, please note that this stream is for adults. There is alcohol present in a Halloween themed sippy cup for adults glass, and there is tobacco present. Don't smoke this shit. It's bad for you and it's stupid. It started out as a maladaptive coping mechanism to deal with anxiety when I was 18, and I have not been able to break myself of that habit yet. Okay, disclaimers aside, we good? We good. Let's see who's in the chat. Oh my gosh, Cripple. Hey. Oh, I've missed you. I've missed everyone so much. I've been working a lot, and a lot of things have happened. So many things have happened. I I can't even tell you. And I can't honestly. If you want to know anything about somebody else that I'm very close to who had a really rough weekend, you know where to go find that. And that's I promised I wouldn't talk about it, so that's all I'm gonna say about that. So this is episode 2 of Dementia Diaries. As y'all know, my mom is in stage 2 dementia. There are only 3 stages. And so we had a family meeting today consisting of my dad, my brother, and my brother's wife. And I asked their permission to speak about them. I'm not going to call them out by name, but I did ask them because this is some personal stuff, and I didn't want to. I honestly a very notable thing about my dear brother and his oh yeah, working a lot is good, doorknob head. Yes, we are in a much better position than we were last year. We haven't had time to unpack everything in the same room that we set the computer up in, which might not have been the best decision, but that's how it happened. But working a lot is good. We're so much better off than we were this time last year. So okay, you know what? I have notes and I'm going to need them. So just to give you an idea, we lied to my mom. We told my mom, well, we didn't. My dad and brother did. We left one of my nephews with mom to keep an eye on her because she can't be left alone anymore. Because she's what made this meeting happen is my dad has had to call the fire department several times now because mom has fallen trying to get around without the walker that she was using during her PT, because she hates it. And and my dad had his chest cracked open for open heart surgery a few years ago, and there is a limit to, and my mom is a big lady, and there is a limit to the amount of weight he's allowed to lift. And if she is all the way on the floor, he can't help her up anymore. So he's had to do that a few times, and it scared him. So we initially went into this thinking that we were going to be talking about a nursing home, that like maybe the time would come for assisted living, in which case my dad was going to sell their house, which is paid for. um, and that's the part that kind of stings, is because this is how the American healthcare system can really just mess people up. One of the many ways in which it can is that you know, they would essentially be taking what they could get for the house and using that to pay for assisted living, which is ridiculously expensive. It's thousands of dollars a month to live in a decent assisted living care facility. Um, so there's that, and you could run through that a lot. And yeah, thank you, Granny, for saying that. You yeah, sometimes you do have to lie to people with dementia, because they don't understand. And also, my mom is in an interesting stage. Um, my dad brought this up, and it was a really good point, because we asked him about, so because my sister-in-law had researched all of these. She used to work in a nursing home. She worked in that field for years, and she knows what's good and what's bad. And we talked about things like you have to watch out for elder abuse. You have to watch out for, I hate to say this about medical workers because it sucks, but you have to watch out for theft. I mean, I have a friend who's a nurse, literally stole his father's wedding ring off of his hand, but they couldn't prove it. So there was no getting it back. I mean, that sort of thing, it happens. These people are vulnerable, and there are good and bad people of all kinds, and they're everywhere, and they work in all fields. So it's just rough. Um, I also want to point out something else about my sister-in-law. Not only did she freaking bring the knowledge today and was amazing, but she also was an army trained army field combat medic, and is just a genuine badass. And I had nothing but the utmost respect and love for her today, because I was a wreck. I was a wreck. I had a really hard time last week. Last weekend was terrifying, and then to have this fall in our laps as well, it was a lot. I mean, I was so anxious. I was shaking. I was fighting down a panic attack the whole time. We were also in a public place. It was a Starbucks, so it wasn't terribly crowded, but we were seated at one of those community tables, and I kept like reflexively putting on my mask and then taking it off because nobody else around me was wearing a mask, but because they were drinking or eating. And it was a very weird situation. And just a very pandemic-y situation. Hey, Junie the Apostate. Um, and so there's that. I really needed to brag on my sister-in-law, because she was the one who kept us all on task. I was too anxious to concentrate. My brother was too worried about me and to concentrate, so she was the one who kept it all organized, took notes, emailed everyone her notes to everyone afterwards. I mean, she was the best. And I'm also going to say that this is an atheist YouTube channel, but and not but and my sister-in-law and my brother are Christians, and they were amazing today. And I just had a sort of it takes all kinds moment. You guys know my issues with religion and with organized religion. I've talked about them all the time. I still talk about them. I will continue to talk about them. But I also loved having that reminder that it's, yeah, the institutions might be messed up, and also, yes, beliefs inform actions. But in some people, I mean, some people are just awesome, and I don't give a fuck what their religion is. I don't care what they believe in. Hey, Lavender Lady, how you doing, girl? Um, yeah. And Ginny the Apostate is here. Let's check in. Let's check in with the chat really quickly. I don't want this to go on for super long. In part because I don't like. Part of me is like, hey, I'm back for a hot minute, but it's not gonna be super short. But I don't want y'all trapped for too long. But Doorknob Head, of course, is here. Thank you. Hello, sir. The Krabby Hermit is here. Hello. My darling Junk Shop is in the chat. Hey, sweetheart, I love you. Critical Cripple, of course, is in the chat. Love you. Nevermore is in the chat. That's right. My Poe loving buddy. The Trusty Ape podcast is in the chat. Hey, Trusty Ape. I don't think I've listened to your podcast. I will now. Good to see you. And I think that is everyone. I don't think I've missed anybody. Yeah. If I did, I don't know, at me or something in the chat, and I'll say something. Yeah, okay. So we walked in there thinking we were talking about some serious financial decisions. We also had I had some information wrong. I'm saying it wasn't just me, but I didn't know that. I thought there was a misconception, a misunderstanding happened where, like, I thought my dad had medical power of attorney over my mother, and then someone told me he didn't, and then I found out that yes, he does. So that's good. So we got that. What we aren't sure we have is an official dementia diagnosis, which just blows my freaking mind because I've been talking, hey, Purple, I've been talking about this for years. We've known for years, but we're not doctors. And how do we not have an official diagnosis? I'm so confused. I'm so confused. So someone at the hospital, a medical professional, when mom was in the hospital with heart failure, congestive heart failure last summer, someone said she had sundown syndrome. A medical professional put that on her chart, and also put on her chart that she had that she was in stage 2, I think. Now, here's where it gets fuzzy because that was a very stressful time, and I looked up sundowning, and I remember reading this occurs during stage 2 dementia. So I might be the person who made that connection, and a medical professional did not actually write down stage 2 dementia anywhere official. So that's the first step, is we have to get a diagnosis. Because if she does end up eventually having to go into care, Dad's plan is to sell their house, go in with her, and use the money from selling the house and the rest of his retirement and everything to pay for that. That really scares me because she's gonna hate it. But actually that brings me to the other really good point that my dad brought up, was because we were saying, okay, so right now, what are we looking at? Are we looking at in-home nurse care, or are we looking at, nursing home care, assisted living care? And he said, oh, she can't go in now. And I said, why not? And he said, because, the calling the fire department several times kind of had me like at a place where, like, are we there yet, essentially? And he said, but she's too lucid most of the time, and she will fight me tooth and nail. She will not do it. She will not do it, and she'll hate all of us, and will fight us on it. And it'll be a lot easier if we wait until the disease has progressed. My parents have been married for well over 55 years. I think they're looking at coming up on their 60th anniversary, or they just had their 60th anniversary. I should know this. I'm sorry. This is what anxiety does to my brain. It just makes it turns my memory to shit, and it's like, this is your brain on anxiety, like those, anti-drug frying an egg commercials from my childhood. So in the notion that we have to wait until she's so out of it that she won't fight being put in a home, and for my father to have to say that about someone he's loved and still loves and has been with since he was in his early 20s and has had children with and grandchildren with, great grandchildren, lost a grandchild. Like, they have been through everything in life together. So I really respect him for recognizing that. I think it was a very important moment and an important realization and a good point to make. Okay, so Ginny is asking, is she able to make decisions now? Because it'd be great to get all that figured out, to know what she wants to do before she loses the ability to make decisions. Sometimes, yes. Yeah, Ginny, sometimes she's very lucid on a good day. She's very lucid. She's fine. On a bad day, she doesn't recognize her own children. So it's back and forth. It just depends. I can tell you that she absolutely does not want to go into a nursing home. She has expressed that many times. And we're trying. This is going to sound really fucked up, what I'm about to say. But a podcaster that I really respect, one of my favorite murder ladies, Karen Kilgariff. I love that podcast. And her mother died of early onset Alzheimer's. And she once described it publicly. I'm going to paraphrase. I'm going to try to quote, but I'm going to end up paraphrasing because I'm sure I'm going to fuck it up. She described it as having a parent with Alzheimer's, and I would bracket or dementia in there, is like watching someone being chased by a shark, but they're being chased by a shark for the better part of a decade. And at some point, you start rooting for the fucking shark. And we're all kind of in this place where we're hoping that her heart disease takes her out at home before the dementia takes her out, and she doesn't know who anyone is, doesn't remember herself, and is in care, because she does not want that. So to answer your question, no, she does not want that ever. And we want to honor that. But at the same time, I mean, like right now, my dad is getting a new platform bed because she's fallen out of bed a few times. And he's having the whole bathroom remodeled so that there will be a walk-in shower with no glass and with rails all the way around. She already has a shower seat, so she doesn't, and she has a one of those handheld spray things for the shower, so she doesn't have to stand in the shower, which is good because she can't if she slipped or anything, it would be very bad. Yeah. Yeah, Jeannie, you're right. Jeannie says it's kind of like doing something without the consent of that person if it's for that person. I agree, and I hate it. I fucking hate it. I don't want to put her in a home, and I don't want it to drain my father's security and retirement. I mean, they're 79 years old. Like, I want him to be able to live out the rest of his life and die in his sleep surrounded by fat grandchildren. That's what I want. That's what I want for both of them. But we don't always get that. So, Yeah, so another thing that my dad did is he has expressed to me very privately that, privately, and I'm about to share it on the internet. He told us that he made um, my brother and I, out of his 4 children, he made specifically my brother and me his power of attorney, his medical power of attorney people. And so if he is ever in a situation where he's brain dead, where he has been declared brain death, has happened, there's no coming back from that. He doesn't want to be kept on life support, and I know that. And he said, I was actually very honored by this. He said, I know that you have the strength to do it because you understand that that's not life, that's not living. And your brother, I put on there because I know he'll back you up. Your sister, I don't think she could do it. And I was very honored by that. And I was like, no, I would never let you be a vegetable. I would never let you suffer. But I mean, I don't know if you'd be suffering. Like when your brain's dead, you're gone. I mean, that's how I see it. But yeah, I assured him I would never. I said I'd cry as I did it, but I would absolutely like have you taken off life support because I know that's what you would want. Hey, Godless Sewing. We're talking about some depressing shit, but I have a fun story at the end of it. Yeah. Um, yes, it can. Junie makes an excellent point, y'all, and I do want to dwell on it for a second. Everybody's been making good points, by the way. Thank you all so much for being here and for talking. Yeah, it's going to sound harsh when you're rooting for the shark. It's definitely expensive and can be the worst option to put someone in a home. Plus, the quality of life has to be thought of. Absolutely. And something that some other knowledge that my sister-in-law brought to the table because she worked in a nursing home for so long is she said, as long as if you can afford, home care nurses are incredibly expensive, but if you can afford it, do it for as long as you can because elder abuse happens, and it happens more frequently in homes, in nursing homes, than it does when people are cared for at home, because usually if they're cared for at home, they have someone else looking out for them. They have a family member there or somebody there, hopefully. So that is something to look out for. And yeah. And so there's just a lot of changes have to happen, a lot of some modifications to the house, but all of that is easier than the other option. Like one of the reasons that my grandpa, when we were going through this with him, one of the reasons he had to be in a home is because he would not listen to his daughters. They tried caring for him themselves, but he refused to listen to them. He didn't believe them when they would say things like, "Dad, you didn't take your medicine today," or "you didn't shower today." He just, and it got to a point where he started to get very argumentative, and then it got to a point where he started to get a little violent. And then so they got him into a place, and it was a very good place, but he went downhill fast after that. And it's because once you take a person who already has memory issues out of their familiar environment, it makes it so much worse. Which is why mom was sundowning in the hospital last summer, and as far as I know, is no longer experiencing sundown syndrome because she knows her house and she knows my dad. But the moment that she was in that unfamiliar place, she thought she'd been kidnapped. She had hallucinations. She had delusions. It was horrible. It was absolutely horrible. So it's a lot. Dementia, Alzheimer's, none of this shit is fun. And I keep looking at it and thinking, am I seeing my future? Like, is this what I'm seeing? And I don't want junk shop to have to go through this with me. But at the same time, I probably smoke enough. It'll be fine. Something else will. No, I'm kidding. That was a joke. It's fine. Okay, so let me make sure. I'm just checking my notes. I want to make sure I didn't miss anything. Yeah, warnings about elder care abuse, absolutely. She's also researched a bunch of facilities in the area and found some really good ones that are not where the price is not quite as high as a cat's back. It's still really high, but not as high as one might think. And yeah, and wherever mom goes, dad's gonna go, so he'll be paying for both of them to live in an assisted living facility. If it comes to that, if and when it comes to that. Hopefully it won't. I hope my rooting for the shark comment didn't upset anyone, but I'm just saying that now that I'm in this situation with my own parent, and I already watched it happen to my parents with my grandpa, I get it. I fucking get it. Okay. Time for a funny story. Y'all want to hear a funny story that's awesome and amazing and makes us all go, hey, human beings are kind of cool. Okay, so you know that we had, oh, you can't see it, but I'm wearing my 2 vote shirt from the Puzzle and the Thunderstorm guys and the Cogdis guys. So yeah, 2 votes. The someone in our community made this for me. And it's so cute and it's so warm and I love it. And it's like, it reminds me of that poem. And please don't be offended. This is not an ageist comment, but it reminds me of that poem. When I am an old woman, I will wear purple and a red hat that doesn't fit and doesn't suit me. And it's not because it's an ugly hat. It's a marvelous hat. And it's like, it's a bit too big and I don't care. And I can do things like I could flip the brim up if I wanted to and like wear it a different way. I freaking love it. I love that it's handmade and it was made by our own Godless Granny. So shout out to Godless Granny in the chat. Thank you so much. But what Godless Granny does not know is this is not only a marvelous hat, it's a marvelous traveling hat, because I got a random Facebook message from someone that I've never met who happens to live in my apartment, my old apartment from 2 moves ago. Apparently, I forgot to update some of y'all who know where I live in real life on my change of address. And one of those people was Godless Granny. So I don't know how long ago you sent this. And if you were waiting for a thank you card, it's written. I just got this today. So, okay. So let me start at the beginning. I get a Facebook message from a woman who lives in my old apartment. She said, hey, I think I have a package for you. If you used to live at this address, if this is you, I was going to take it to the post office and have them return it to sender. But if this is you, your name, you, like, you could just come get it. And so I was dubious at first, because I was like, that's really nice if that's true, but also, one should be wary. There are weird folks in the world, and I was like, what's going to happen? Am I going to knock on this person's door and it's going to be a weird situation? So, but after some messages back and forth, I realized I just came to the conclusion that I think this is just a person just trying to do a good turn, for somebody else. And like just a stranger doing a good deed for a stranger for no gain on their part. And so I texted back, hey, I can be there in about 45 minutes. is that all right? And I can message you again when I'm close. And she messaged me back and she said, absolutely. I will put it on a chair on the front porch for you and leave it there. And when she said that, I was like, okay, I get you. I get you, because we're two women in a big city. We don't know each other. And so, she's like, this is safe. But this is one of those rare moments where I was really grateful for how distinctive my last name is, because at some point, she must have looked at my name on the box and just thought, that's a weird name. I wonder if this person is on Facebook. And she did a Facebook search and found me. And yeah, there is only one me on Facebook. So yeah, so there you go. Oh, Grace. I'm glad it's fine. It worked out though, because I got this great story out of it. This hat now has this amazing traveling story. Yeah, I'd forgotten about that. That's right. Granny sent Junk Shop a scarf to this address. So, but I'd forgotten about that. Okay, I just assumed, like I always do. I assumed it was my fault. But no, it doesn't matter. There's no fault here because this is such a great story. And I was just like, and then I looked at when I picked it up, and I turned it around to see who had sent it, and I saw it was from Godless Granny. I immediately sat down in my car, and I set the package down, and I hadn't opened it. I didn't know it was a Marvelous hat. I set the package down, and I messaged the woman one more time, and I said, thank you so much. This is from a dear friend of mine in Alabama, and I never would have gotten it if you hadn't bothered to look me up on Facebook. And I can't thank you enough. I just thank you for doing a good turn, and I will do my best to pay it forward. And she texted back, not texted back, messaged back. It's my pleasure. And we all know how hard it is to get mail from old addresses, LOL. And I was like, yeah, right. So it was a lovely, after a very stressful meeting and after an incredibly stressful and anxious week, it was just a nice, beautiful thing to happen. And I'm kind of glad that you forgot that I moved, Granny. I honestly am, because now the Marvelous Traveling Hat has the Marvelous Traveling story. So, yeah. So, there are great people out there. Most people are good. They're just trying to get by in a world that they can't control. And I think it's important to remember that. And I'm just so grateful for my sister-in-law. And you know what? When she and my brother first dated, I did not like her. Love the fuck out of her now. She's awesome. Love her. Love you. If you ever watch this, I love you. She's amazing. Also, she's the mother of like a bunch of my nieces and nephews, and so loved her first. She grew. We got over it. I didn't like her initially, but we got over it. But no, she's awesome. Okay, and my brother is awesome. At one point, he texted me very discreetly at the table at Starbucks, and the text read, "You okay? You're shaking." And I texted back, "Anxiety," and he texted back, I get it. So that was the family meeting. I'll let you know of any new developments. And yeah, Nevermore, it is a sweet story. And yeah, Granny, thank you. Wholesome content, said Jenny about it. Well, I tried not to curse just in case my brother and his wife watch this. They know that I curse, and they're not perfect humans. They curse too. Like there's no such thing as a perfect human, but they that I try to at least kind of I try to leave out the GDs and things like that when I'm around them, just out of respect, because I love them and their family and awesome. So I did try to tone it down just in case they watch this, because I asked their permission if I could. I was like, hey, can I mention that y'all were there? And they said yes. So yeah. So that's the story of, we're getting in-home nursing care. Dad's remodeling the entire bathroom. Also doing some other stuff around the house to make things safer for Mom, to try and keep her at home as long as we can, and with good reason. And also the story of the marvelous traveling hat. So thank you all for coming. I really appreciate it. And remember, you can't find truth in wine, but you may find it in reason. Have an excellent Saturday, y'all. Be safe out there. Oh, and love from Memphis. Said this twice.